So I started making films when I was about 13 or 14 with my friends, my brothers, my neighbours on the school holidays, and we would do zombie films or a slasher film or whatever it was. This was in the 80s. And we had a VHS camcorder and we have to edit the film with 2 VCRs, and all very primitive, but that's the way we could do it back then. And they became exercises in creative special effects more than storytelling. How can we kill off our friends creatively? What's the most gruesome way we can figure out how to off my younger brother? But they were great in terms of teaching me the fundamentals of filmmaking, how to frame a shot, how to edit a sequence, how to use music. So once I got to film school, I had had a lot of practice kind of making these things, and I was able to apply that to a 10-minute short film that I made as my graduating film called Silent Number. And Silent Number was about a babysitter in a thunderstorm getting these creepy phone calls from a little boy, and the calls end up coming from beyond the grave. And that film kind of became my calling card once I graduated film school, and it was seen by a talent scout.
So I was helping set up the management division of propaganda films in Hollywood, and my boss at the time, Steve Golan, said, look, there's quite a lot of talent down in Australia, New Zealand, isn't there? Let's go and have a look. So I set a trip, went down there, did all this due diligence, and ended up in Melbourne and had contacted the film schools, and they dropped off a bunch of tapes for me. This is analog days, this is videotapes, you know. So I was in the Como Hotel in Melbourne. It was raining, it was an electric storm. And I put on these short films, and like after about 4 hours, I was about to go to sleep. I was like, oh, this is really boring, these films. And then I finally put this Silent Number in. And so, of course, you know, I was really taken by that. And the next day I was like to the film school director, I got to meet Jamie Blanks.
Simon and I sort of started working together, and he was trying to find scripts for me that I might be good for, and trying to send me things from Los Angeles that I could maybe do a treatment on, or try and get, you know, just have a meeting with someone.
One of the scripts I sent Jamie was I Know What You Did Last Summer. And Jamie responded like, I have to shoot this movie. And I was like, well, let me try and get you in on that. So, you know, we contacted the producer Neil and the executives with Silent Number, and, you know, it just wasn't like, you know, passing the bar at that point, because I was starting to meet filmmakers. So Jamie said, I'm going to shoot a trailer.
I thought, well, I've got 10 minutes of 35mm film stock. I could probably afford to get that processed and developed and cut a little trailer together. I thought I'll just go through and find all the moments out of that script that would probably make the real trailer, and I'll just shoot those bits only. So that's what I did. I went out over 2 weekends with some actors and some film school buddies, and we shot this trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer. I sent it in the mail, crossed my fingers and hoped for the best.
When he sent it back in, it was just amazing. It was like, this is the movie. This is what it looks like. Raced, I think I drove it over there to Neil's office and dropped it off.
When I was going to make I Know What You Did Last Summer, we were meeting all kinds of new directors, and we had settled on Jim Gillespie when, out of the blue, something arrived at my office, and it was a trailer for the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I just thought was absolutely terrific. And I actually remember thinking, God, did I make the wrong decision? Did I just hire somebody too early? This was what the movie, we wanted that movie to be, and I actually saw it there on film.
So he cuts a trailer for I Know You Did Last Summer with an entire Australian cast. And it was genius. I mean, it was genius. It was like, which I think they kind of copied a lot of the stuff he did when they actually made the trailer for I Know You Did Last Summer.
I thought that he would be the perfect choice for this movie, which he was.
Once I saw that tape, for me, Jamie was really the lead, and after speaking to him, also I got to know he's a true horror aficionado, so that just blew me away. And you know, other people came in and talked about it, but we really all got behind Jamie.
Someone sent me Jamie's short film and his trailer, and I loved it. We met, loved his infectious personality, and then we suddenly had this script, and immediately I thought of Jamie. And I think probably Brad called me and goes, you know Jamie Blanks? And I'm like, do you know Jamie Blanks? And so, you know, I think there was that kind of great confluence of the producers and me, and then I think all the other executives loving Jamie's work.
I said that this is our guy, and Neil agreed, which was great. And next thing I know, I'm calling Jamie up, and he was mowing the lawn in Australia, and next thing he was here in LA.
And then we just had to persuade Mike.
It was really up to me to say, you know, let's back him and go for it.
Mike wanted to make the movie. He was very supportive of the process, and then once Jamie came on board, super supportive as well.
So Mike's got a storied career. he was Spielberg's agent. He made movies with Milos Forman. He had made movies with everyone you could think of, Francis Ford Coppola. And then, so Jamie's going in to meet with Mike, and I remember he was so well prepared, Jamie, for the meeting, but he was it was literally like, it was like almost movie sweat coming off of him. And we walk in, and he does this whole thing. I can't remember. You have to ask Jamie.
I had the support of Gina and Neil and Brad and Nick Osborne. They all sort of championed me to Mike, and I think he just wanted to meet me, give me, eyeball me and see if he thought I could pull the movie together. I presented him a sequence of storyboards, which was the boyfriend on the roof of the car. Sort of took him through how I do that, and then I remember him just saying to me, "Okay, kid, don't screw it up."
I think Mike was like, "Yeah, you can do this," like halfway through the presentation. And so we suddenly had our director. It was amazing.
He was interesting enough and young enough and vigorous enough that I thought he would be, he could direct it, and I was right.
The studio, to their credit, and Neil Moritz, who was a very experienced producer, certainly more experienced than me. It was my very first movie. I was a baby. Gave us the freedom to follow our heart and to hire the guy who certainly doesn't have the resume, but he had the vision. When we met with him, talked to him, he had such a clear vision of what he wanted to do, and he was so sure about it that you just wanted to give him the opportunity.
I just remember being blown away. I mean, he's a guy who's made hundreds of movies, prestige movies, and he's prepared to roll the dice on a 26-year-old kid from Australia who'd really only made some short films and a trailer, and I just couldn't believe it. I just thought, what an incredible man, what an incredible opportunity, and I just resolved to make the best movie I possibly could to reward the faith and the trust that he had put in me.
Jamie gave everything he had to this movie, and I think the reason the movie turned out not only creatively well but financially well was because Jamie really delivered strongly on that, and he had a passion for it.
If you can help one person, or if you can help more than one person, get to their dream, there's a reason for your life.
The greatest gift that I've ever had getting to make movies is giving people chances. And I'm just, I want to believe in people. I'm like, here, man, I'll defend you. I'll try and defend your vision. You stay within the parameters that we've agreed on. It's all good. So, and Jamie did that in spades, and was willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. And I really appreciate that. And that's how I wish every film experience was, to be honest.
It needed to be infused with that kind of youthful exuberance that gave it an authenticity that a director who's done 20 of these never would have brought. And I think that's one of the big reasons why the movie was so, successful.
His passion and love of the genre, he schooled me a few times on things, he taught me a lot. And so it became very clear to me there was no doubt that this was the guy to direct the movie.
Everything about Jamie was so infectious, and I think that's what I loved about him. And I think it's his greatest quality, is he makes everyone around him infused about the project. And I think why was it easy? Because he had a core group who was supporting him all along the way. And I think the second thing was because everyone fed off that enthusiasm. And so when you have someone that enthusiastic, you want to make it work.
Neil Moritz and I used to play touch football together at Will Rogers State Park. And so he knew me from that, I knew him from that. I needed a job at the time. I had moved here to Malibu, had a wife and kids and a mortgage, needed a job, so read a bunch of scripts. That one came my way, went in and met Neil, and we talked about it. And I had my conditions for doing the movie. He met those conditions, and we were off. I hadn't met Jamie at the time.
The first time I met Michael McDonald was at Neil's office, and I just liked the guy immediately, and we just seemed to hit it off. Our personalities gelled really well.
I earned Jamie's trust really early on, just by the way that we worked together, because you go through a lot before the first day of shooting together. You're really in the trenches already.
And we had to hit the ground running. We had to start crewing the film, and we had to start casting the movie and getting everything to shoot in a couple of months. I think this was February. Our start date was April 20th. So we didn't have a lot of time to muck around. We just had to go.
I tried to give him as much reassurance and confidence as I could by just saying, we got this, it's gonna be fine. You know, we're gonna get through this and it's gonna be really good, and I got your back.
So we had a lot of work in front of us, and I just remember Michael laying out the problems we had to solve, and one by one we went through them together and solved them. And that can only happen if you're in sync and you trust each other.
It's just a question of resources. You got a certain number of days, a certain number of hours, a certain number of feet of film that you have to use to tell this story. And to the extent that you go over that, you're going to hurt yourself in post-production, where you're going to need more days in ADR or whatever it might be.
That was the way it worked with Michael all throughout production and post-production. It's just a wonderful collaboration, and he's one of the best creative partnerships I've had in my career.
It was a kind of great reciprocal balance that we had between the two of us. When he really did need something else and needed more, I'd go, okay, let's do that, but we know we have to take it out of here later on. And Jamie reminded me that we ended up with, at the end of our schedule, we had a few extra days to go back, 3 extra days to go back and pick up really important shots at the end that we needed. And we had the full crew, and we could go out and really kind of complete the movie in those 3 days, because we were so efficient and kind of regimented while we were shooting.
Once we had Michael, we'd be building the budget and figuring out where we're going to shoot, and then go out to the key positions.
I was in charge of scheduling interviews for crew members, working with a casting director to bring, to schedule actors, schedule editors, schedule production designer, cinematographer. So I was talking with the agents, helping Michael.
So the first crew member we had to hire was a production designer, and I remember we met with quite a few, and Charles Breen walked in the room, and immediately Michael and I just kind of knew, here's our guy.
And we forget about Charles Breen. I mean, his list of credits is amazing. He worked on Blade Runner. We forget that. He designed Decker's apartment. That was him.
Charles Breen was an early hire because he had to go up to start working on the sets that he was going to be building right away. And super sweet man, really low key.
Just a great creative soul, just a great partner, and I immediately liked Charles.
There was a definite connection there, between Michael and Jamie and myself, and we had similar ideas with respect to, concentrating, focusing on the suspense part of the film.
Not a crazy artist. I need that blue, I need that red. He would just get the job done all the time. Listen very carefully to Jamie.
Charles was one of the first people that was hired because he had to start work immediately. They hired him and off he went. So
I was pretty excited, and I think I had worked in Toronto once before, and so the idea of going up there and the university there is just lovely. I mean, just really a beautiful school. So it gave us a production value that you wouldn't normally get on a smaller film like this was. I viewed it more as a suspense sort of project than anything that was too bloody or gory, even though there's a bit of that implied in this. And I thought it was interesting that Jamie wanted to do more implying.
Every member of the entire crew deferred to Jamie because we all knew he knew more about the shots and the emotion, the scare, the laugh, whatever it is, than we ever would, because he knew the genre so much deeper than any of the rest of us did.
I think at one point Jamie asked me, I said, do you want to be my assistant and go to Toronto? I said, oh, let me think about that. Of course, it'd be great. And so Michael begrudgingly said, oh, all right, man, sure, well, you can have him.
We interviewed quite a few DPs. And Jim Chrysanthus's reel comes in, we look at that and we're stunned. We were just blown away. It was so crisp and clear and sharp and intelligent, the stuff that he put together, that I think both of us said, let's definitely meet this guy, let's talk to him.
He came in and we liked him immediately again. Funny, articulate, creative, passionate.
I saw the enthusiasm of Jamie. Jamie was very, very young. I was a bit surprised by that. I mean, I was pretty young at the time too, but he was a lot younger. There has to be some reason they gave this kid this big movie. And I sensed like I had a creative partner in Jamie, and I would have creative freedom and not be limited.
I just wanted to work with the guy, and I was so hoping he was going to say yes to the job.
Everything that we thought we would get from that reel was confirmed, and he was on board.
They saw from my low budget TV experience, music video stuff, that I could deliver this stylish, lush, contrasty footage in the schedule allowed.
We wanted to make a finely crafted film. We were shooting it in a widescreen aspect ratio, wanted it to sound brilliant. We got an extraordinary sound team on it later on. Thanks very much to the editor, Jay Cassidy. I had done Replacement Killers with Jay before that.
As soon as I met Jay, I realized, like, yeah, he's my guy. We're going to work well together. I fortunately had an editing background, so that was one area that I had quite a bit of experience in prior to having made my first film.
I very quickly detected that his take on the script was not dissimilar to my own, which is the combination of the humor and the suspense.
We worked wonderfully in terms of telling the story out of sequence and figuring out all the pieces we needed, where we were in the sequence of shots, what comes before, what comes straight after that.
I knew, having worked with him before, that he would just take all the stress and strain out of that aspect of it. We wouldn't have to worry about that. He had it locked down.
Nobody was saying, oh, it's just a horror movie. We wanted to obviously make money for the studio, for everybody, but we wanted to elevate it. We didn't want it to just be another, slasher movie.
Both Phoenix and original just kind of sent us off to do it.
It's kind of crazy to think how much freedom we had because we all were like, what? Okay, great. We're just going to make this movie. We're going to cast this movie. We're going to go up to Toronto and shoot this movie. And they were just like, go, have fun, go do what you want to do, be your creative selves. It was amazing. And again, has never happened like that in my whole career. I mean, it was truly charmed.
I try not to get, so nervous that, I'm in the way. My whole thing is to watch the process as it's going through. And if there are no hiccups or problems, then I have hands off, really, essentially. Just let them make what they're supposed to make, right? And that goes back to the UA days, too.
We wanted to make as good a film, craft as good a film as we possibly could.
No one considered this a cheesy horror movie. They were making a movie, and they were going to do the best that they could and bring in all their talent to it. Absolutely.
I'm trying to make good movies that people will remember. I mean, I've said, even to my son, I've said, look, when I'm gone, nobody's going to know me or talk about it. They will talk about the films that I've been involved with, and that is where it's at.